Hello and welcome to our next episode of Correspendence, where we focus on innovators and small makers in the pen market. Today, we are very proud to have with us Rich Paul from River City Pen Company. Rich, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So I know that your company, from what I was able to see online, you got started around 2019, right before the pandemic hit.
Yep.
But what got you into pens?
Actually, I started off as a maker more than I was a pen user. I started off many years ago, making the kit pens from like stuff you get at Rockler, Woodcraft, those type of things, other online sources. And a friend got me into it, kind of begrudgingly. I kind of never really thought about making pens, and I used to do a lot of what do they call it? Just like art shows, craft shows, things like that, selling just woodworking things. And a couple of friends, they kept trying to convince me to make pens. And one day, begrudgingly, he showed up with his lathe and said, "We're going to make a pen." I was like, "Okay, let's make a pen." And about a couple hours later, I had a pen in my hand, and I was just hooked from that moment. I went out and bought my own lathe the next week and started from there. And yeah, about 2019, I switched over from making the pens from kits to actually making the custom pens.
Very cool. Nice. Well, we're happy to have you in the industry. Thank you, man. Your pens were some of my first experiences with resin, custom made pens here. So I have one here that is the Westwood model of yours. And yeah, I really enjoy this thing. I haven't gotten around to putting a review up online, so I'll definitely have to get around to that. But I love your pens. They're very beautiful. Online, I saw that you were making pens with something called Oparex, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Oparex. That's kind of like their the one distributor's brand name. It's a laboratory grown opal, so it's a synthetic opal. It's real, but it's not a natural one. It's been made in a laboratory,
That's really cool.
and it's suspended in a silica resin, and it's made by Kyocera, the from Japan. The same companies that kind of owns Kyocera USA. Like I always say, the regular resins we're used to seeing, they're very beautiful, but the Oparex themselves, the way they capture the light and refract the light is just there's nothing like it. It's beautiful material.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that's what it was. That's very, very cool. So let's see. What is it like being a like a maker in the market today? So you must be going to a lot of pen shows. You must be meeting a lot of folks. Do you get like generally good vibes from, your customers and other makers that you might meet out there? What's it like?
Yeah, I love it. It's just going to pen shows. I'd do them all if I had time. This is not my full-time job, so I do have a regular job I do, and if I had more vacation, I would be at probably every pen show I could get to. It's just that they're fun. There's so much energy. I mean, if you've never been to one, it's something you everyone who loves fountain pens needs to experience if you're able. And it's again just the experience of being there and meeting people and just how friendly this whole community is towards each other and helpful and just supporting. I mean, we have a lot of other small makers that are out there. I would say 90% of us are all friends. We talk to each other, we share ideas, and it's just such a, again, a welcoming experience overall.
I'm hoping to get to some of my first pen shows this year, actually. So I'm up in the New England, Boston area. So I don't know if you
Okay.
make it that far over, but actually, have you ever been out this far?
I have not. I'm out of Pittsburgh, and the closest I've come to you would have been the Long Island Pen Show about 2 years ago.
Okay. So I just got to make
And
it south a little bit.
yeah,
Nice.
I
Well,
that's not a normal one for me, but I did want to give it a shot and get up there. But it's I'll be back to it at one point. I said I'm hoping to retire in a couple of years and get back to doing pens full time, and then I'll try to do them all.
I actually bought another pen, a second pen of yours, and I swiped it over on Reddit, r slash what is it? Pen underscore swap, pen swap. And it's
Okay.
where pen people like myself just go to obviously a lot of us have collections. We're constantly trading them in and out. And some
Sure.
people are, so anyway, it's a great place to get an awesome pen if you can find one. And a lot of the makers, stuff sells out quick. So sometimes you might be lucky to find something on that secondary market. And that's where I got this one here. And I was curious because the owner didn't say what type of River City pen it was.
Hmm.
He didn't say the model. Do you remember one like this that had kind of more conical ends? Can you see it?
That would just be a modified version of one of my other ones that
Uh-huh.
looks like it might be a Westwood model from
I was gonna say here it is
yeah,
next to
hold
it.
it back towards yourself a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, those both look like Westwood models.
Okay.
And they the length they vary a little bit being handmade.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not quite as precise, but yeah, and it does look like a Westwood that modified and did the bevels on the cap. Again, that's just something I do now and then, just do something different, but I don't have a
Yeah.
standard model that does that.
No, I love both of these were Bob Dupross resins, that caught my eye and then you worked with. And then I do really like how that end is kind of conical or
Right.
tapered. How did you say it again?
I call it beveled, but
Beveled.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I like this one a lot. So that's good to know it's a Westwood. I just like to know what I have in my collection.
Sure.
And I couldn't, you have so many cool models online, and it was tough to like decipher because, like you said, everyone's different and everyone, you might have a little fun with and do something a little bit different and crazy and artistic with. So I didn't know what model it was. So I was like, I wonder if I can just go right to the source. So thank you
Sure.
so much. Another thing I saw online, you're making Kakamori nib holders, and I recently got into getting myself a Kakamori nib, and I really thought that was cool. What kind of got you into the Kakamori nib holders with nice resins and other materials?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not the first person to ever make a nib holder, but I started seeing them online more and more, just the nibs themselves and people using them. And okay, most of them they have these metal inserts. They kind of look like this. They go into the end of the holder, and these things, they're either chrome plated or they're just a very low quality stainless steel. And after a few years of dipping them in ink, ink's a little bit corrosive at times, and they just start to rust, and they're terrible. And I was like, I didn't want to use those, and so I started searching around to find I don't know if they're plastic or vinyl or what the actual material is that the Kakamori ones are made out of, and I finally found some, and so I used those. The first one I did, I actually sacrificed one. I spent a lot of money on a nib holder and tore it apart just for a kind of a proof of concept and see if I could sell one. And after that, I just started looking around and I found some and I started buying them and and making the holders, and they just took off immediately. It was just unbelievable. Where you know today I probably sell as many nib holders as I do pens. So
I was gonna say I didn't realize that you made those until I was doing some research for this video, and I think that's gonna be one of the next things that
right,
I try and get around to getting because I do enjoy my dip nib, and as you know, like fountain pen users, we go through a lot of ink, right? So
right,
I'm constantly being given ink from friends, and I'm not gonna ink up every pen with it; it's just too much. So a lot of times I'll take out the dip nib and do a sample, and also it's just really nice sometimes if you want really big line variation when you get a little
right.
bit skilled with
And,
it.
and another interesting thing about them, and this is the same with even if you have the Kakamori one that you have, is that they fit other nibs. So you don't have if you're not sure if you want to spend the $55 on a Kakamori nib to go along with it because you're not sure if you like it. Maybe you want to see if you can find someone who has one first and try it. Any of your standard calligraphy nibs are going to fit there. You could take a number six Yobo or Bach nib and it'll slide into that groove. So you have a lot of options besides the Kakamori nib too. So
Perfect. That's extra good because like I told you, I swapped out this nib for one that's it's a 1.5, but it's ground to an italic.
right,
So it's very like sharp, no, big line variation. But as you know, like fountain pen users, we nib swap. So I've got a drawer with probably like 4 or 5 nibs right now that aren't getting used. So it would be really cool to just be able to like plop one in there and
sure,
and
yeah, you
write a
just
letter or
slide it right
something.
off the feed
Hmm.
and just the nib itself and just slide it into that outer ring on the holder.
Hmm. Cool. Do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of when you get out and you get some time to make a pen? Do you have a process that you go through? Do you have any sort of ethos? Do you have anything going around in your mind when you're kind of spinning a pen, turning a
Uh,
pen?
Unfortunately, I don't have a great story for that. Yeah, usually anymore, most of the stuff I make, yeah, every once in a while I'll just kind of go down and just make something on a whim. But most of the time, it's kind of, I'm running low on this model, I'm running low on that model, and I need some more of this color or I need some more of that color to kind of balance out my inventory. Doing about 7 shows a year, I do spend a lot of time just keeping my inventory up because
Hmm.
like normal sales and shows it does deplete kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get custom orders. People contact you and they want something like that.
Hmm.
So I mean, I don't have some real like Zen-like story about how I'm making, my decisions and pens. It's just sort of at this point. I mean, I love doing it, so I don't want it to sound wrong, but it's just kind of more. This is what I need today, so this is what I'm going to make.
Yeah. Well, you've turned it into a very successful, awesome business, and that's the other part of it, right? Like, you've
Yeah,
got the artistic creative side, but then you've also got the pragmatic side where you need to, like you said, figure out what models am I low on, especially with your site. Can I share your site right now? All
yeah, absolutely.
right, I'm going to pull it up. So yeah, you've got a ton of models here. Westwood, Esplen, Arlington, Shadyside, Morningside, the Elliott, limited editions, the Brookeline, Uptown, Bon Air. Do you have like how do you come up with the names? Is there a particular like some of these I recognize being from Massachusetts, like as town names around here, but then other times I'm like, well, he's not from here. So, but what is there a theme or how do you come about with the names for these?
Yeah, these are all city of Pittsburgh neighborhoods.
Oh, okay.
Each like different area of the city has kind of like their neighborhood name, if you will, and
Uh-huh.
I just select those names. Being that I'm near Pittsburgh, it's I started off kind of like when I first once I got beyond one model pen, I said, well, I got to start figuring out names for these.
Hmm.
And I started with a couple different things, and it kind of gets hard to just kind of for me to just get this original thought for a name. So I was like, what can I do to make this a lot easier on myself? So I was like, well, some people use, like just for example, like Mythic Pen Company, he uses different mythical characters.
Hmm.
Zodiac Pen Company, he has different zodiac signs for his.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, city neighborhoods is easy enough. There's a hundred of them. I just start picking at those. So
Nice.
you kind of find the ones that have a nice little ring to them and
Mhm.
don't sound like your other ones, so they get confused. But yeah,
So it looks like the Bon Air here is the pocket pen model where it's
yeah,
very concise. Nice.
yeah. They're a lot of fun. They take they'll either you could either eyedropper those or you can put a standard international cartridge into them. Um,
Excellent. And then we've got I think the Esplen.
Yeah, and that model there is discontinued. It never really took off
Oh,
very well, so you could kind of see the Save 8750. That's kind of my clearance price on them, just to until they're gone. So if
yeah, that's
anybody
cool.
likes those,
All right, guys, run over there right now while they're
suggest
still
you
in
get over
stock.
there and
I
get them.
actually kind of
So
like this. I haven't seen many with the clip like that, and I noticed was that what made the Esplen different? Was the clip, or was there other differences in shapes and
um,
sizes too?
the clip was and the metal finial on the end of the cap. Those were two of the main features, but it's a much narrower pen.
Okay.
The threads on most of my pens are either 13 or 15 millimeters. This is a
Hmm.
12 millimeter where the cap thread's on, so it is a smaller section.
Okay. Most pens that I see from small makers working with resins, they don't have the clip on them. So that is kind of a unique thing. Everyone check out the Esplen. It's only in stock for a limited amount of time until it's out. We've got the Arlington next. And do you want to say anything about this model?
Yeah, the Arlington's my biggest pen. That one, the cap threads are 15 millimeters. I make it. The body itself is about 94 millimeters long, not counting the section. So it's a little bit longer than my other models, and it is almost 2 millimeters wider. So it's a pretty beefy pen. And then I make an extra long Arlington model, which is the one you have right up right now.
Oh, okay.
It's almost a full centimeter longer than my standard Arlington. And of the two, this is my better seller, but I have some of both in stock all the time.
Nice. Arlington. Yeah, I love just the colors. Just looking at your, website or your Instagram. I recently had to, join Instagram so I could start making contacts with folks like you. But yeah, let's go to our next model. Let's see what else we're doing. So we've got the Shadyside. Here we go. The Shadyside looks like it's a little bit more cylindrical.
Yeah, this is currently this is probably my most popular model. It kind of goes in cycles, but this is one of the two pens that I make that post. This is
Ah,
the Shady Side is essentially the same size as the Westwood, but the ends are rounded and it's more of a taper too, so you can post the cap.
cool. Okay, excellent. So if you're someone who posts, then you should be taking a look at this model, the
Yeah,
Shadyside.
that one there in my Morningside model, which is the other
In there too.
postable one I have.
And that's this one here. Is one a little bit bigger, smaller? This one looks like it might be a little
Uh,
bit smaller.
that one's about a millimeter thinner.
Okay. So the morning side's a
Maybe a
little
little
bit
bit
bigger.
more than that. The actual cap itself, the section itself, the diameter there, like the inner hole of the cap, they're the same,
Hmm.
but it's about probably about trying to think about 2 millimeters diameter of the main body, thinner than the Shady Side or Westwood are.
Cool. And let's check out our next one. We've got the Elliott. Here we go. Cool. You want to tell us about the Elliott?
Okay, yeah, the Elliott, it falls between diameters of the Westwood and the Morningside. That one's about 13 millimeter body. There's no taper to this one at all. It's pretty much a flat profile until you get to the ends of the pen where I round them off. So it's a pretty, again, uniform diameter, the whole length of the body, and the cap's about a millimeter thicker.
Okay. This is awesome. Just sitting down with you and having you go through all your models is
All right, if I
excellent
could
to
just do
hear.
this with everybody, that'd be great.
I know, right? Well, that's why we do this. That way they can come watch, and then this will be up for, perpetuity, in the future, people can come back. That's the cool thing about this. Like, when we put videos up, they're not going to get like a million hits right away. But, this is an enthusiast market and people will look for things. And
Right.
they'll, 2, 3 years down the line, someone will be typing in your name in the Westwood or the Elliott, and then hopefully, they can learn more. So let's take a look at our Brookline. Here we go. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
Okay, yeah, this is another big pen. This is the Brookline is it's slightly smaller than the Arlington, but it takes the number 8 Bach nib. So
Okay.
it's a really big nib. Currently the Bach nibs only come in titanium or gold,
Hmm.
and so it is a little bit higher price point. However, the my understanding is that there may be some they may be starting to produce some steel nibs, which are going to be a little bit higher price than the like our standard number 6 nibs are,
Hmm.
but still it's going to bring the price of the nib down probably close to 50% off of a what the titanium ones are currently going for. So
Yeah.
you're looking knocking about maybe about $60 to $70 off the price by going with a not a precious metal nib.
Yeah. That's good to know. Let's check out our next one. We've got the Uptown, and we've already done the Bonaire. So Uptown is our last model here.
Right. Yeah, the Uptown
Beautiful.
is just kind of something I was experimenting with for a while. I have it's fairly popular. It's not my bestseller by any means, which is kind of why I only have a couple of them on there right now.
Hmm.
They're a little bit different in process. I need to set things up differently to make them, and sometimes I just don't have the time to dedicate toward that. I've had like three of them sitting down in my shop about a third of the way made for about 4 months. I just never got back to them because like you get caught up in other things and you need to focus on those. But yeah, I try to make them with contrasting colors. So your sections are usually one color. The rest of the pen is either one other blank or sometimes even two other blanks. So I might
Yeah.
mix three different blanks together for these.
And these are really unique just because of the cap. If you notice, let's look over here for viewers. The threads are a little bit, much lower versus most threads where, there you go, you can see, are much closer, to the midpoint of the pen. So this is a completely different feel. There's no threads. There's nothing up here. This looks almost seamless as
Right.
opposed to, when I grip this, I can feel that seam and the threads there. And then the cap itself looks shorter. So that way, it can screw on up there. That's cool. Very unique.
Yeah, this one here, like instead of the threads being on the bottom of the section, they're really just at the top.
Hmm. That's cool. And then let's see if I can pull up one of our Nib Holders we were talking about too. There we are. And do you want to say, I know we already talked about them, but do you see anyone you want to talk about in particular?
Um, not any in particular, but I do make three different styles of nib holders. I
Okay.
make a what I call a contoured nib holder, which is kind of what you're seeing on the screen there for most of them. This one here, it says modified. It's because there's just some extra accents in the middle there,
Yeah.
where kind of above the grip. Usually I put two of them on there. Sometimes I'll play around, throw some more. That's the modification. It's nothing major like to the shape of the pen or anything. But then below it, that one, those ones there, those are mini contours. They're
Mhm.
approximately an inch, just over an inch shorter than the contours are.
Okay.
And then I make another one I call it a slim style, which looks more like the Kakamori models would.
That's what I was going to ask is how does that relate to the Kakamori model? Which one would be more similar? And I definitely like the contours of some of the ones we saw.
Yeah, and there you are. There's the slims, those two in the middle of the screen right now. See, it's just more of a flat profile to it. No little grip up near the tip to hold on to. The contours are by far a much better seller than the slim style. People like them both, but I sell a lot more of the contours.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd be looking at. So
It feels more
cool.
like when you're holding a fountain pen. So if you're a fountain pen
Right.
person, that's kind of more of a natural transition for you to hold to grab that than to grab the actual smooth, I think.
Let's see. Let's pull up the one of the Oparex ones we were talking about. Would that be under limited
Uh,
editions?
no, those are kind of mixed in with my
There was one right up on the main site, I remember. Yeah,
okay, yeah, there you go. There are a couple of them right there on top. Uh,
nice. And that is the, what did you say? It was like lab grown opal?
yes.
Nice. Wow. That's beautiful. That must have such like do you have something on Instagram where we can pull one up, like a reel with one of those? Oh yeah.
And even looking at it here, it's nothing like you're gonna see when you actually have it in your hand.
Right. And you can tell this is indoors. When you take these things outdoors in the sunlight, oh,
Right.
it takes it to like the 11th level, man.
Yeah, this is in my shot with like the ultra bright LED lights that are just like wash everything out, you know?
Mhm.
So but when people pick these up and look at them, at a show, they're just like, as nice as these look online, these, they can't believe the difference. It's just amazing. Like you could just look at one spot on the pen, and as you twist it, if you keep looking at that spot, the colors just in one place will actually change.
That's really cool. I did not know that this was even a material until talking to you, so that's awesome. Do you want to share your contact info? How do we get in contact with you? We'll put all the links down below. So if you're watching this, just scroll down and you can click everything. But you're on Insta, you've got a website.
Yeah, the best ways to get hold of me are, well, there's a contact me button on my website. You can get me through there at the rivercitypencompany.com. My direct email is rivercitypencompany@gmail.com. Everything's spelled out. And of course on Instagram at River City Pen Company.
Perfect.
I made
Awesome.
the mistake of spelling company out in all of those. So every time you go to type it, you have to type the entire word company. So,
Right. Yeah. I just abbreviated a lot of the times with the initials, which is what you
all
have in your nib. So that worked out well, right?
right.
Nice. Let's see. Do you have anything like cool and upcoming? Like, what's your next pen show that you're going to?
My next pen show is going to be at the DC show. In August, I will be at DC, and then I'll also be in San Francisco. And then shortly after San Francisco, I'm going to be in Orlando. So those are like three back-to-back pen shows, and so that's kind of like my heavy season. And my work hates me during that time because I'm gone as much as I'm here as I'm there. And but yeah, those three shows are kind of my big focus right now. They're all great shows. They're probably my three top shows, and as far as you know, size wise, and it's crazy. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. DC is always spectacular. San Francisco last year was my first trip there, and met all kinds of new people. Obviously, being in a new part of the country, so I can't wait to get back and see everybody again. So I know Orlando's always fun.
Oh, very nice. We've got some other friends of the channel that have already done interviews saying that they're going to the Orlando show this year too. So
Good.
be in good company. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company. And thank you for regaling me with tales about the pens that I was able to get that you made. So I just really enjoy, what you make, and I really enjoy everything you do. So thank you very much.
And thanks for having me.
Anytime.